Hey Gengar Gang, what is going on? My name is Ryan, this is the Analytic Gengar, and welcome to another video. In today's video, friends, we talk about getting started in investing and collecting Pokemon cards, specifically understanding the most recent sets, which ones are the most useful for the sake of collecting and investing, and how you can use this knowledge to really kickstart a hobby as well as an investment strategy that could pay big dividends in the future. Now, before I get started, today's video is inspired by a viewer on the channel, much like a video that we did a couple of weeks ago. Today's viewer is Jacob, who posted a question on one of last week's videos where he asked, he is new to the collecting game. He watched a couple videos and he's literally a day one learner. So he wanted to know what sets and cheap things should a new collector be getting into first, and more importantly, understanding the difference between some of the different sets. Now, first things first, Jacob, thank you for checking out the video. Much appreciated, and thank you for spending some time with the Gengar Gang. To that point, very valid question. There are tons of different strategies out there for tons of different people, and a lot of people have had different ways of going about the collecting game, as you saw even in the responses to your own comment. Now, in response to Jacob's question, I thought it would be a smart idea to create sort of a little sub-series here on the channel. So for any avid viewers of the channel, you know that the channel has something called TCG ToolKit. It is a set of videos or a series of videos where I go over some of the need-to-know topics within the trading card game. So specifically, I use always as an example my centering video, which historically has done really well on the channel. A lot of people seem to really like it and find it valuable. So within that series, we are now also going to have a new quote-unquote mini-series called Back to Basics, which is going to help address some of the questions and some of the more elementary things that new collectors specifically might find valuable. Now, all that said, as I always say, I make a promise on the quality of TCG Toolkit videos. They are always highly researched, and they are also packed with information that any type or any experience level of viewer could find handy. So my hope is, with the introduction of this new little sub-series or mini-series, I definitely encourage you all to still check the videos out, even though you see they say back to basics. And the hope behind that will be you can still, even if you are an advanced level collector, find some useful information regarding that. Now, in direct response to Jacob's question, how does one get started in investing? Well, likely, the truth of the matter is you will need to take a long look at all of the different sets that exist within the Pokemon card trading card game. As you can see on screen, as of right now, there are 87, 88 if you count Shining Legends, which hasn't been added to the list yet, and technically 86 that are actually released that you could purchase today. Now, in the grand scheme of things, we will, under the guise of Back to Basics, cover each and every single one of these. I do want to go back and share with you my thoughts on every single one of these different sets. However, for today's video, and in the spirit of what a new collector would need to know, I wanted to cover everything in the Sun and Moon era and everything in the Sword and Shield era. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into that. Basically, in short, new collectors are probably going to be best served by learning about investing and buying and collecting Pokemon cards with the most recent available sets. The reason for this is because it exposes them to the least practical risk. Think about it this way. You have $20,000 for one reason or another, and you go online and you buy a fake first edition Fossil booster box. Unfortunately, it's one of the earliest printed sets in Pokemon card trading card history, and because you're a newbie, a lot of people might try to take advantage of you. Versus, you go to your local card shop, you find a box of Unified Minds, you buy it for $120, $150, And, you know, you open it, you see some of the cards, you learn a little bit, you start, you know, discussing with other people, other like-minded individuals who might have questions and might learn a little thing from seeing your pulls. And all of a sudden you can see the difference between the two. One is a $200 event and one is a $15,000 potentially financially crippling situation. So I would definitely recommend that if you are new to the hobby, that you invest and start poking around and learning from the most recent sets backwards, because by doing this, you'll be able to learn a lot about what's popular and what's interested in and what's, you know, being trended and influenced upon. And then you can kind of work your way backwards and learn about it first and then dabble in and invest in it or purchase it if you wanted to. The other thing, and this is me speaking philosophically, is that you probably just want to collect what you want to collect. I left this as a response to the original comment that influenced and inspired this video, but one of my big things has always been pick what you love and start collecting it. What's going to end up happening is sooner or later, if you genuinely like the hobby, you'll find other aspects of the hobby that are just as engaging and just as interesting to you. You can learn a little bit more about them, and then just like I said, you'll learn about them, and slowly but surely you can start back into investments and purchasing slabs and bidding on auctions. But the most important thing you can do is learn about what you're interested in first so that you have a good understanding of it, and then after that, work your way into purchasing it, investing in it, speculating on it, etc., etc. So, you know, I would say Google Pokemon cards, look for one that looks cool, click on it, find out what set it's from, maybe buy some sealed product from that set, and then from there, do your thing. Start opening, start enjoying the hobby, and then you can identify those areas where, hey, there might be an opportunity for me to, invest and make future goals of mine more realistic and affordable based on certain investments. That's always been my philosophy when it comes to this kind of stuff. So, with all that said, Pokémon.com has an amazing website that I just found. So it has like all of the TCG expansions, not all of them technically. It goes back to the EX series, but honestly, I think that's impressive enough as is. The reason for that is because technically anything prior to the EX series would have been Wizards of the Coast. And so it's kind of awkward because I don't think Pokemon can actually display those on their website. EX series was printed by Nintendo, but since Nintendo is the parent company for Pokemon, Pokemon was able to secure all the artwork, etc., and sort of have it. So as you can see, these are all the series that they have on the website. And right here, you can actually see the first 6 that we're going to speak about. In chronological order, you got Sword and Shield base set, Rebel Clash, Darkness Ablaze, Champion's Path, Vivid Voltage, and Shining Fates. Now, super quickly, Sword and Shield is the base set. It introduced V cards. It introduced a little bit of changes that are added in increment to Sun and Moon era stuff. It retired the GX card, and so I think Sword and Shield will be a very popular set for a long time to come. Obviously, its product life cycle has literally just begun, and ironically, we're coming up on a year of it being on store shelves, albeit you couldn't really find anything on store shelves during 2020, but Sword and Shield is almost a year old, but definitely, you know, a base set investment at minimum. Rebel Clash, I gotta say, wasn't the most impressive set, and I feel like people will leave it on store shelves when nothing else is on store shelves. It's actually pretty funny, but it is one of those things. So Rebel Clash, I would skip it unless you wanted to, experiment with learning about pulling packs and stuff like that. What you'll find is that it is readily available, but a lot of people aren't really that interested in it. The one thing I will say is that, like anything else, this too, one day, will be a vintage Pokemon card item, so just something to think about. Darkness Ablaze made its claim to fame by introducing the first Charizard VMAX. At this point, ironically enough, it's going to be the third iteration of that card, but this was the original Charizard VMAX, so I definitely think Darkness Ablaze has its place in Pokemon history for that reason, if only. Champion's Path was the special holiday set from 2020. It's pretty cool because it's absolute garbage, except for 2 cards, which are a Charizard V and a Charizard V Max. So those are the only 2 cards in this entire set that are worth anything. Everything else is absolute garbage. If you see it on store shelves, you should buy it right away and then flip it on the internet, because people are still paying stupid prices for this actual garbage. In case anyone's curious, I really don't like Champion's Path, but seriously, it is going to be an investment opportunity, if only because of those 2 Charizard cards. They took the Charizard VMAX from Darkness Ablaze and made it a rainbow rare, and that's what you can pull out of Champion's Path. In addition to that, there's also the shiny Charizard V secret rare card, which stems from the Shining Fates set. In between that, however, is the Vivid Voltage set. Vivid Voltage is arguably one of the best sets of the year for 2020, main reasons being Pikachu, Pikachu, Pikachu. You have a variety of Rainbow Rare and Full Art VMAX cards. You have some really awesome artworks outside of that, and in the grand scheme of things, it's a really fun set to open up. So there's no secret that it's been a huge, huge hit, and I think in the long run, this set could definitely be one of the most investable among all of the sets here today, probably second only to Shining Fates, but Vivid Voltage is definitely tons of fun to open up. Those Pikachu cards are commanding a significant premium on the market right now on eBay in the secondary market, and I think for the long run, you can buy it and put it away now, but just remember that any of the 6 sets that are shown on screen right now are going to be around for quite a while, and so you might want to hold off on buying any of them, because honestly, you know, aside from the craziness of the coronavirus and not being able to find the stuff on store shelves, there's honestly no real reason to go ahead and buy the stuff right now. Their product life cycles will expand for much, much time to come. So just bear in mind, that is the actual truth of the situation that we're currently living in. Although it's hard to find right now, in a couple years it won't be. At that point, you can probably buy a lot of it and put it away and call it a day. Shining Fates is the speculated February 19, 2021 release day set. Or at least it seems, this set will be released as sort of one part of a larger celebration for the 25th anniversary of Pokemon. Shining Fates, of course, is a amalgamation of the Shining Legends and Hidden Fates sets that were also released in the past. We'll cover those in a little bit. Long story short, they're fun, they're cool, they're quirky, but in the grand scheme of things, they basically just stole the names of 2 different sets. I've said this before, but they can't use Hidden Legends, which would be the other 2 words from those 2 other sets, because Hidden Legends is actually already a Pokemon card expansion, and they don't repeat set names. So Shining Fates was the only way that they could go. This set is speculated to be one of the most big, fun, and enjoyable sets of 2021. Much like Hidden Fates, it's going to feature a ton of shiny Pokemon. It's going to have a shiny Charizard VMAX. So I assume this set is going to be sold out day one. I assume there's going to be many, many, many reprints of this set going forward. And I assume that this set is going to be a very stable, long-run investment, not only because of the Charizard, but because of many of the other shiny Pokemon that they are going to be printing into this set and making it such a dynamic and rewarding set to open up, much like Hidden Fates was for the Sun and Moon era. Now, with that said, that covers everything in the Sword and Shield era, and I hope that gives you a little bit of an idea as to the investability of any of these sets. Like I said, they should all be on store shelves for many years to come, and as a result of that, you really shouldn't be too pressed about buying anything up and keeping it sealed right now. The only one expansion that doesn't apply to is Shining Fates, because people are going to be buying this stuff up crazy like. So if you can find an ETB, if you can find a tin, I recommend buying it and either opening it up or keeping it sealed and knowing that in the long run, you should expect to see quite a significant investment return on that original purchase price. Other than that, stuff like Vivid Voltage and Darkness Ablaze will be on store shelves, so it's definitely not something you need to buy and hoard right now, but I think it is something that in the long run, particularly these 2 sets, will be worth quite a bit of money. With that said, let's just briefly go into the Sword and Shield era stuff. Sun and Moon base set is one of the most interesting sets because much like the Sword and Shield base set, it introduced new cards. It's very memorable for that. So this is where you'll really see a lot of that Generation 7 stuff kind of shining through, showing up. You'll see a lot of those very nostalgic Pokemon. What's funny is that while the packs are included in many sealed product nowadays that you might find on store shelves, it's definitely not something you find out in the wild anymore. So definitely a lot of people have taken notice of that. And because it was released all the way back in 2017, it's definitely towards the end of its product life cycle, and so definitely something that you want to be picking up and putting away if you are so curious to invest in it. In terms of collecting it, you can probably find the cards on TCG Player, and this is going to be true for many of the Sun and Moon expansions, but I definitely wouldn't recommend going out of your way to buy a booster box of this stuff just to open it up. You're probably better off buying the cards individually or trying to open packs in other sealed product where stuff is still selling at MSRP or close to it. Guardians Rising and Burning Shadows kind of fall into similar boats for different reasons. So Guardians Rising, again, you might be lucky to find some of these packs out in the wild. Other than that, if you're trying to collect it, I definitely recommend sealed product. If you're trying to invest in it, maybe don't, because Guardians Rising was printed with malicious intent, as many of these sets were, and as a result of that, it can be very easy to get lost in trying to invest and turn this into $1 million investment, when the truth of the matter is you may never actually see that money returned to you. Burning Shadows is a very investable set for one reason and one reason only, and that is the Charizard card that is in it. The rumor is that there's a Rainbow Rare Charizard in the set that is so difficult to pull, and may I just say it's very true. So in the grand scheme of things, you've already seen a lot of people selling these at higher than MSRP prices on eBay, Instagram, Facebook. So it wouldn't surprise me if this is one of those sets that definitely creeps up in value over time. The good news is that if you're trying to collect it, there are still tons of sealed product out there that have Burning Shadows packs in them. So all you need to do is find those items, buy them, open up the packs. I definitely wouldn't recommend buying a booster box. You'd rather keep that sealed as an investment. But in the grand scheme of things, this is probably one of the most investable sets from the Sun and Moon era, purely because of the Rainbow Rare Charizard that's in it. Shining Legends is another one of those highly investable sets. Shining Legends was a holiday set, but what was cool was that it brought back Shining Pokemon. Almost immediately, we've seen the Shining Rayquaza card sell for over $100, and there's also a test tube secret rare Mewtwo that has also fetched quite a bit of money, both in the raw form as well as a PSA 10. Up till recently, it was available on store shelves, but this is one of those special sets that was only ever released in non-booster box format. So the only way you'll be finding Shining Legends is if you find Shining Legends sealed product on store shelves. Again, the chances of that are low, not technically impossible, but up till now, Pokemon hasn't indicated they'll be reprinting this, meaning you're probably going to be buying this from the secondary market, and if you are, you should definitely be keeping it sealed. If you want to collect it, I definitely recommend trying to pick up loose packs on the internet whenever they go up on sale, and other than that, buying loose cards off TCG or Troll and Toad, as that'll probably be a great way to finish the binder quickly, since it is a relatively small set at only about 70 cards. Crimson Invasion is kind of similar to Guardians Rising. Another set that was very highly printed and really doesn't have anything memorable in it. Again, keeping sealed product is never a bad thing. Sooner or later, this will become a vintage product, and technically someone out there has to like it, just based on probability. But again, there's not really much of a reason to go out of your way to buy these packs for investment purposes, because there's not really much in there that people are going to be really actively going out of their way and purchasing. Ultra Prism is one of those sets that everyone seems to hype up, but no one seems to know why. A lot of people have articulated that there's not really much in the set in terms of collectability. Speaking from the comparison of like Burning Shadows, right? So Burning Shadows has a Charizard. We can point at that and be like, oh, that's why everyone loves it. Ultra Prism doesn't have that, but for some reason is still a beloved set. So just bear that in mind. A lot of people think it's really cool. A lot of people have seen it printed. Here's one thing that's interesting is that this has been reprinted recently. So in theory, it is also possible to walk into a Target one day and find these on store shelves. Since that's true, I think it's definitely a good time to be purchasing these for both collecting and investment purposes. That said, there's also the challenge of finding stuff in general, because a lot of people have gotten into the habit of checking Pokemon card sections at stores and buying up the supply in order to keep the supply low. So just bear in mind that although it's been reprinted, it might still be difficult. And again, the same theory holds true. You should hold it for investment purposes. And if you do get your hands on sealed product, you could open some of it, but you're probably going to be better served buying loose packs from a legitimate source, or trying to track these things down at a place like Target or a place like Walmart, who has definitely had some recent reprints where you can buy this stuff at MSRP and either hold it for long-term investment or for collecting and opening up for your own fun. Forbidden Light is another one similar to Crimson Invasion, not really much to write home about. Tons of GX cards really kind of laying into the whole Necrozma aspect of everything, but in the grand scheme of things, no one has really pointed to this set and said this is going to be the big one. Celestial Storm was interesting because it was a Generation 3 reprint. Rayquaza was on the ETB box, and so some people have pointed at that as part of the reason why it might be very highly investable. A lot of people haven't seen this on store shelves, and because of that, I think there is a certain rarity to this particular set and its sealed product. But in the grand scheme of things, it's another one of those sets that if I got my hands on it, I would probably keep it sealed, because there's not really a legitimate reason to be opening this stuff up. Again, you can just kind of buy everything you need either from eBay or one of the various card shops out there. Dragon Majesty was the 2018 special set that came out. Obviously, it focused a lot on Dragon-type Pokemon, but in the grand scheme of things, there are more important holiday sets. I will put it like that because obviously in 2019, with the release of Hidden Fates, Dragon Majesty just lost all relevance. So in the grand scheme of things, Dragon Majesty is definitely out of rotation. It was a special set, but in the grand scheme of things, Hidden Fates is definitely where it's at. If you see this stuff, buy it, keep it sealed, period, end of story. If you're trying to collect it, there's only 70 cards in the set, so hopefully you can just pick everything up on eBay, Troll and Toad, etc., and just be done with it. Lost Thunder. So Lost Thunder was interesting because there are a few Pokemon in here that are extra spicy, particularly the Lugia card. Now, a lot of people don't realize this, but whenever a vintage Pokemon card sells that carries a significant premium, it does technically send a shockwave through all of the Pokemon card market for any card of the same species. So what does that mean? Recently, a first edition Neo Genesis Lugia holographic card sold for quite a bit of money as a PSA 10. As a result, immediately after that, all of the Lugia cards in this set also went up in price. So, in the long run, I definitely think it's valuable to invest in Lost Thunder. There are rumors of it getting a reprint, and right there you can see the Lugia GX, so it is printed as both an alternate art, a full art texture card, and a rainbow rare. And a lot of people have looked particularly at this set as being one of those sets. Given recent events, it can definitely be a very highly sought after set. And then there are rumors of the reprint, which of course would democratize the ability for any individual to get their hands on this stuff. Meaning you could walk into a store and pick it up and you don't have to go to some special shop and buy the stuff at a markup. So given that it's only 2 years old, or at this point 3 years old, there's definitely a high probability that we might see some of this stuff float around the market sooner or later. When it does, I would recommend picking it up. Collecting a binder of this stuff would be amazing, but in the grand scheme of things, if you're looking at the potential for investment return, this is definitely where you want to be at. Team Up was another excellent card series because it introduced the tag team mechanic within the Pokemon TCG. So from here on out, you would have Tag Team Pokemon GX that featured 2 of your favorite Pokemon in a particular card, which is pretty cool. This is another one of those sets. People look at the Tag Team Latios and Latias alternate art card, which is already a $100 card. So this is another one of those sets that if you see it out there in the wild, pick it up and hold on to it. Definitely something that's going to be highly investable in the future, and potentially something that will be getting a reprint as early as 2021. So even more of an opportunity for someone to walk into a store, pick this up, and potentially pull one of the many amazing tag team cards that are out there to be pulled from this set. Detective Pikachu is definitely a skip. So the only reason these were printed is because they coincided with the Detective Pikachu movie release. So the idea was that they would release these, really cute, quirky cards. While they are fun, and while there are only 27 of them, there isn't really much there in terms of collectability or investability. Next up is Unbroken Bonds, which is another amazing set. Something that, if you're lucky, you can still find some sealed product around that might have a pack or 2 in it, but nothing really, fancy or amazing here. The main concept and thing that anyone should be going after here is the Rainbow Rare Charizard and Reshiram card. But again, because there is a specific card that you can point to and say, oh my goodness, that's the card that we love, you can definitely always kind of take a peek at these cards and really get some true value out of the set. So there's definitely a really legitimate reason to be keeping this stuff sealed right now. Booster boxes are already upwards of $200, and it wouldn't surprise me if this and Burning Shadows were some of the most highly sought after boxes of the Sun and Moon era. Moving into our last 3, we have Unified Minds, which featured a Mew and Mewtwo card. Again, they really made use of the tag team dynamic here to great effect. And in addition to that, there was also the fact that there was this Mew and Mewtwo Rainbow Rare card. So this is another set. This is another home run set that I definitely recommend you keep your eyes out for. At this time, there aren't many rumors around of this set getting a reprint, but if it did, I definitely recommend picking it up. Again, because it only came out about 2 years ago, there is still a high likelihood that they could reprint this set, especially the fact that it's still standard deck legal, meaning it can still be used in the trading card game as it is played. There's tons of reasons for a set like this to be reprinted, which means you can definitely get your hands on it. And again, because of that Mew and Mewtwo card, which is really unique and interesting and pretty, there's tons of reasons why this set could be a very big long-term winner. Hidden Fates. Period, end of story. Invest in it, buy it all. If you see it on store shelves, buy it, buy it, buy it. The main reason that you would want to invest in Hidden Fates isn't actually the Hidden Fates base set. It's actually the 75 shiny Pokemon contained within the Shiny Vault that Hidden Fates introduced. Now, this set has unequivocally been known as one of the most enjoyable, fun, and rewarding Pokemon card sets of all time. It was very clearly made for collectors, hobbyists, and people who enjoyed opening Pokemon card packs, and it was very rewarding for the same exact reason. And so, many people have placed this, albeit because it is such a recent set, as one of their all-time favorite sets to open up. And this means that if you were looking for the #1 set to open up or collect for Sun and Moon era, I would 100% recommend it to be Hidden Fates. What's cool about this is that there are still prints going out to certain Walmarts and Targets. As late as September of 2020, I was able to find at just at my regular Target, just hanging out there. So $20 a tin, MSRP, no questions asked. There are ETBs that are being reprinted right now as this video is getting released, and there are rumors that distributors should be bringing that type of stuff to your local store shelves within a week or 2, meaning in theory, again, this stuff will be on store shelves for quite a while. Pokemon has recognized its popularity, and Pokemon will be printing it. that makes it an excellent time to start collecting this stuff, and in theory, even buying it and keeping it on the side. Now, finally but not least, to wrap up today's video is Cosmic Eclipse. This is personally one of my favorite sets. Cosmic Eclipse was kind of like a Gen 4 vibes type of reprint. I don't necessarily know how true it is to call it a Gen 4 inspired print run, but I definitely think with the Arceus, Dialga, and Palkia card being one of the fan favorites within the set, I definitely think there's merit to why it is seen as such, and obviously it did like an interstellar space theme to it. This set's notorious for a bunch of reasons, so I promise you it's going to be a fan favorite for a long time to come. One of the main reasons is because of ADP, Arceus, Dialga, and Palkia Tag Team GX card. It is a menace in the metagame, in the actual trading card game, and so don't be surprised if that alone is a reason why this set goes down in history as one of the most fun and larger game defining sets, but also one of the most collectible because of the really cool tag team cards and very interesting Pokemon tag team cards that were introduced in this particular set. But with all that said, friends, thanks again for checking out today's video. A little bit of a long one, which I know I have been trying to cut down on, but there was a lot to say in terms of getting people ready to, get a good understanding of what they should be collecting and investing. And I hope today's video helps to set that up as sort of, watch this video and get most of the information you need when it comes to investing and collecting much of the modern day stuff. So with that said, friends, I appreciate your viewership as always. Thank you for checking out today's video. If you liked what you saw today, feel free to subscribe to the channel down below. Ring the bell notification icon so that you can stay tuned for upcoming videos. As always, I appreciate your viewership. You could have been anywhere on YouTube, but you chose to spend some time with me, which I always appreciate. Thanks again for checking out today's video, and I'll talk to you guys real soon. Peace.